Ever had someone tell you, just listen to your body? And you're like, that would be a great idea, but I can't hear my body over the sound of my brain screaming at me because the seam on my socks is uneven. And in 1996, a kid on the bus said I was stupid. And when I do listen to my body, it says you probably need more caffeine when really what I need is sunlight and a walk. Or is that just me? Welcome to ADHD Adultish, the podcast that's all about navigating adulting with ADHD in a world of chaos while hanging on to some shred of sanity. I'm your host, Kim Spangler, and today we're diving into why listen to your body is trash advice for people with ADHD and what to do instead. Because if I could actually hear my body's signals over my brain's 24/7 chaos broadcast, we wouldn't be having this conversation, would we? So, first things first, why is listen to your body so unhelpful for ADHD brains? Well, generally speaking, we struggle with something called interoception. In the simplest terms, interoception is basically your body's internal dashboard that tells you what's happening inside. Like, you know how the dashboard on your car tells you, you're low on gas, you left your blinker on, your headlights are on, oh yeah, you probably need an oil change. Well, interoception is your body's internal dashboard for things like being hungry, thirsty, in pain, needing to pee. Also, helps you understand emotions by linking them to physical sensations, like when you feel like feeling tightness in your chest when you're anxious. For ADHD brains, though, this dashboard is much like my cell phone, glitchy as hell, which is why figuring out why you feel some kind of way at any particular time is like trying to decode hieroglyphics. Interoception issues can show up in 3 different flavors. First, maybe it's a weak signal. It feels like your body's signals are on mute. You forget to eat, don't drink water until your lips are like the Sahara, and maybe you don't notice that you've been sitting in a weird position until you try to move, and one of your legs is like, surprise, we're numb now, and your hip feels like it's broken. Then there's signal overload, which is like your body's signals are blasting at full volume at all times. Maybe you're always thirsty, you feel every tiny ache like it's a mortal wound, and you have to pee the second you even think about a glass of water. Then there's mixed signals, like all of your signals get mashed together, so it's like trying to listen to 3 different podcasts at once. You can't tell if you're hungry, anxious, tired, or just existentially pissed off. For example, I spent half the day yesterday feeling hungry, but every time I ate, I didn't feel any better. Turns out I was thirsty. When your brain's getting bad data from your body, it makes it that much harder to just take general care of yourself. This bad signal reception doesn't just mix up physical sensations, it can screw with your emotions too. Having a glitchy interoception system can make emotional regulation a nightmare. An important part of emotional regulation is noticing what you're feeling before you hit the red zone and doing something to dial it down a bit. Taking a walk, doing some deep breathing, reframing your thoughts. The earlier you catch it, the easier it is to calm down. But here's the problem. If you don't notice you're stressed, angry, or sad until you're already yelling, crying, or rage cleaning the kitchen, it's kind of hard to manage those feelings. Bottom line, emotional regulation isn't just about controlling your emotions, it's about noticing them early enough to do something about it, which you can't do when you're not getting the right signals from your body telling you what's going on. All right, so if listen to your body is such trash advice, what the hell are we supposed to do instead? Here are some ADHD-friendly strategies that don't rely on suddenly being able to detect and accurately interpret your body's signals. First tip, keep it simple. Look, people are really just slightly more advanced houseplants. We all need basics: water, nutrients, sunlight, and movement is probably optional for actual plants, but you get the idea. If you're not sure what your body's trying to tell you, but you don't feel right, start with a drink of water or a snack. Probably protein is going to be your best bet. It's like the most basic of advice you get when calling technical support, and they're like, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? But there's a reason that advice exists, because most of the time it works. Tip number 2, actively check in with yourself. So sometimes we don't hear the signals from our body because our brains are just running away with us because of, the ADHD. Maybe you're hyper-focusing and your brain is so set on what you're doing that it can't think about, like, oh, I have to pee, or I should have some water. So practice checking in. Take a minute, stop and think, have I had water? Have I eaten? Have I gone to the bathroom? Like, these are the basic things, right? These are the things that our body is probably going to be trying to tell us. Now, of course, the problem with that is if you're hyper-focusing or if you just have absolute crap memory, then that's not necessarily, you're probably not going to remember to do that. Personally, my memory sucks. If I could go to Best Buy and upgrade the RAM in my brain so that my working memory was a little better, I'd do that. But instead, we have to make do with what we've already got. So pair your check-ins with stuff you're already going to do. Going to fill up your coffee again? Stop and think about drinking some water. If you have a habit of picking up your phone and scrolling social media many times a day, make the screen on your phone a big sign that says, move your body, or, hey, do you need to pee? Something like that. Beyond pairing it with things you're already doing, visual reminders. They need to be somewhere you're going to see them, somewhere you're going to hear them. Put a big ass sticky note on your computer if that's where you're sitting at working most of the day. Set an alarm on your phone. Tell Alexa to remind you. No, Alexa, not now. Basically, take the job off of your brain and body's to-do list and put it somewhere else. So in addition to just like helping ourselves remember to check in with our bodies and look for things, we can actually try to work on improving that mind-body connection, and so make it to where we're getting more accurate signals. And so some things you can do, don't roll your eyes at this, but doing a mindfulness check-in. This is just taking a quick moment of observation where you notice what's going on inside your body without judgment, without thinking any particular way about it, but just practicing focusing on different feelings in the body. And you can do this with like take a hot or a cold drink in your hand and focus on the sensation and close your eyes. You don't have to get all super woo-woo about this, but just take a moment to notice how it feels in your hand, then put it down and pay attention to the difference. Just little things like that you can practice paying attention to different body signals. Also, when you're doing check-ins, you can practice doing a body scan, which there are different, you can do like a mindfulness meditation that will help you go through your body scan, or you can just stop and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and start with your feet and notice any sensation. Are they cold? Are they hot? Are they tingly? Are you like squeezing your toes together? Then move upwards and notice how your legs are feeling, your stomach, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your fingers, your neck, the top of your head. Just kind of slowly, not super slowly, but just go through it and practice noticing. Just like a muscle, practicing noticing can help improve the overall noticing. Next tip, label your feelings. Do you ever get like a vague sense of doom for no apparent reason? Well, slapping a label on it, like anxious, annoyed, or just meh, can actually help turn down the volume. Just stopping for a moment to acknowledge the feeling, stop and pay attention to where's it coming from in my body, give it a name. And even if you get it wrong, it can sometimes slow things down enough to keep you from spiraling even further deeper into that feeling. Also, get a feelings wheel. If you've never seen one, these things are awesome. It's a wheel with different layers on the inside, and it's got a billion different feelings inside. And a lot of them you would never really think of. Like, sure, I feel sad, I feel mad, I feel happy. But no, there's a million other ways to feel, and those don't even begin to scratch the surface. Are you feeling frustrated or disappointed? Are you hurt? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel vulnerable? Do you feel peaceful or confident or inquisitive or just playful? There are so many different feelings and different words to describe those feelings that when you can't put a name to it, looking at all of these many different options can help. And it kind of categorizes them so you can start in the middle with happy, sad, mad, whatever, and then work your way out to the range of feelings that might actually kind of fit into that category, so you can narrow it down a little bit more. There is a website that is called feelingswheel.com that you can go to just get just a free feelings wheel that you can look at. And if you're an adult, I know it feels like you should be able to know what feelings are. Like, what is this feeling that I have right now? Feels like you should be able to do that. But a lot of the times you can't. And that's not just ADHD, by the way. There's plenty of neurotypical people out there that can't label their feelings correctly. So yeah, your brain's notification system may be a little messed up, but knowing that that's the case and having some strategies in your back pocket can make life just a little less chaotic. Okay, so far we've talked about how our brains are either muting, blasting, or scrambling our body signals, making it hard to decipher what we actually need. But sometimes the problem isn't your body at all. It's your brain being an asshole. For example, let's say You've worked on it. You've finally learned to hear your body's signals. Yay, progress. Except you find you still can't do anything about it because knowing you need food, water, or rest doesn't mean you'll actually go do it. That is executive dysfunction, an incredibly frustrating part of the ADHD experience, where we know what needs to be done, we want to do the thing that needs to be done, yet we simply cannot make ourselves do the fucking thing. We may sit and obsess for hours about how we need to do the thing, but we cannot get our body to actually move. So how does this relate to the whole listening to your body is shit advice for people with ADHD? Well, let's say you are listening to your body. You might know you need food, but actually making it? Too many steps. You might recognize that you're tired, but getting into bed feels like a whole event, or you can't make your brain shut off. Maybe your body is sending the right signals, but your brain just isn't cooperating, so you still end up stuck. The result? Ignoring your body, not because you don't hear it, but because responding to it feels impossible. So what can we do about that? Well, when it comes to basic needs like food, hydration, and rest, the best advice I have is to make it as easy as possible. If cooking or even making a sandwich feels like too much, keep the lowest effort snacks imaginable around your house. Cheese sticks and crackers, yogurt and granola, or fruit, frozen dinners. Something that you can do that will give you sustenance when you need it, that you don't have to put any effort to. Can't make yourself go fill up a bottle of water? Get the single-use bottles. Is it ideal for the environment? No, but you're not exactly doing any good for the environment by being chronically dehydrated. Keep in mind that your executive dysfunction will likely get worse the further you get into needing to take care of yourself. So the hungrier you are, the harder it's going to be to make yourself get up and get food. So this is where the tip we talked about earlier of creating visual reminders comes in handy. So help you remember to do the thing before it gets too hard to do it at all. Eating lunch, eating breakfast, set a reminder for a few hours to eat again. And when your brain tries to tell you at that point that you can go just a little longer before taking that snack break, tell it to shut the hell up. And finally, sometimes the reason you can't listen to your body isn't because you can't understand it or you're ignoring it. It's because your environment is so fucking loud that your body's signals get drowned out. ADHD brains struggle with sensory overload. We have a hard time filtering out irrelevant sensory info in the way that neurotypical brains are able to do. So that means that sometimes it feels like everything is happening at once. The noise, the lights, the textures, the movements, like everything around us could be too much sensory input. And the more overwhelmed we are, the harder it is to recognize what we actually need. When there's too much external input, it can make it incredibly difficult to focus on internal signals. If you're overwhelmed at work, you might not realize you're hungry until you're lightheaded. If you're at a store and I'm looking at you, Home Depot, it can be a sensory nightmare. Your brain might shut down completely, making it impossible to process anything, let alone what your body is telling you. And maybe your body is telling you, this place sucks, get the hell out of here. So how do we protect ourselves from that? First, reduce the input where you can. Noise-canceling headphones, sunglasses. Take breaks. If you have to be in an overstimulating place, step outside, find a quiet area, or just take a pause for a moment, close your eyes, and try to block out at least some of the sensations. So at this point, it should be crystal clear that our brains struggle to process body signals in real time, but that is not a personal failing. Your struggles do not define you. Your needs are real and valid, even if your brain tries to argue otherwise. Listen to your body may be trash advice for people with ADHD, but the good news is that once you start to understand how it works, you can start tweaking things so that you don't have to rely on just those scrambled signals to function. And remember, you're basically just a slightly more advanced houseplant, so give yourself food, water, rest, and light before your system completely crashes. If you struggle with remembering to check in with your body before it's in full-blown crisis mode, go grab my ADHD routine starter kit. It can help you on the path to building simple systems you can stick with. It's just kind of like a little intro to starting routines. It's free, it's quick, and best of all, you don't have to remember anything because it's all right there on the download. Look for the link in the show notes or head to my website, levelupmyadhd.com, and look for it under the resources section. If this episode hit home for you, then please subscribe, leave a review, share it with somebody else who might find it useful. Thanks for hanging out with me this week. Now, go drink some water, eat a snack, and remind yourself that the goal is progress, not perfection. I'll see you next week.